The goal was to finish in under 2 hours. For some reasons, my weekly mileage leading up to the race was tapering. Now, this is supposed to be ideal. You reduce your running in the last week so that you're fresh and fully recovered on the race day. But in this case, I wasn't doing it intentionally. I felt I just was not able to run long and hard and put some serious efforts in training. There was definitely lack of enthusiasm, owing to what I do not know. Perhaps it was fatigue. For past 6 months, I had been running 5 to 6 days a week at least. I ran my first race in February. In March, I did my second 10k event, and in April, I signed up for another 10k race. 3 races in 3 successive months meant I was constantly training. And here I was in June trying to work out even harder for a half marathon. Hence, it is quite conceivable that there was mental and physical exhaustion of some degree. Since I had only ran 10k races till that point, I had never gone beyond running more than 10 kilometers at a stretch in my training. I had limited myself to that. Training for a half marathon now, obviously I had to try to run longer. I managed to do a couple of 15-kilometer long runs, but I never did a 21. I thought I would just suck it up on the race day. Hence, self-doubt was naturally prevalent going into the race. Flag off was preceded by warm-up exercises and drills as is the case. The gun went off and we crossed the start line. There was that initial congestion and restlessness, a chaos of sorts, but it soon died down as everyone found their respective pace groups, or buses as they call them. I was running along a 2-hour pacer and we were a group of around 10 runners. Our pacer was one Mr. Ravi. He was a veteran runner aged over 45, so we knew we were in good hands. His pacing strategy for us was simple. We were to run at a constant steady pace throughout. It felt alright at 5 km mark. This was a relatively slower pace than my 10k race pace, but then this was a half marathon and I had more than triple the distance left than what I had just covered. At 10k mark, I had gotten considerably tired. This was my usual limit, but I knew I had enough left in me to go till 15-16 km. Anything farther that was unacquainted territory. I knew it was going to be dicey. Ravi adhered to the pace strategy all the time. He gave us heads up every time we had to increase our speed. This would happen when we were approaching one of the hydration stations. Since we were to take a 30-second pause to chug down water and energy drinks, we were going to have to compensate for it before to maintain that target average pace. He was also trying to engage us in conversations to keep our minds off the pain and discomfort. I remember one of us asking him how much and how often he ran. His answer would shock us. He said he ran 20 kilometers almost every day. As inspiring as it sounded, it also crashed our spirits in a way. What we thought to be an extraordinary feat of physiological endurance and mental strength that we were displaying at the point was just a part of his daily routine. It was only after 14 km that our group really started falling apart. Henceforth, Ravi was highly concerned. The very role he was serving was in crisis. It was desperate times till 19 km. We were 4 to 5 of us that still prevailed at that point. We were rendered feeble though. The urge of stopping was so overwhelming that any of our following steps could have been our last. Ravi's pep talk and support could only take us so far. He did his best to preserve the integrity of the group. Everyone but me started lagging behind, perishing. At kilometer 20 with about 1 kilometer to go, I was so critical. I had hit the wall. My body was at the brink of shutting down. The gap between me and Ravi started to grow. He had a job in his hands to keep going and report in 2 hours, even if it meant no passengers along. I was riding solely on my willpower. It wasn't enough. My timing came out to be 2:01:36. Unfortunately, Ravi couldn't make it on time either because, as it turns out, the course was inaccurate. It was longer by as much as one whole kilometer, which caused our average pace to be miscalculated. I was relieved to come to a standstill, to say the least. True, I had missed my goal, but not by much though. The sense of knowledge that I had given it my all was still very satisfying. I replenished my fluids and cooled down. It is a sudden sense of reality that strikes you when you stop. You start noticing things that weren't really subtle. You become hyper aware of your surrounding. All your senses become so sharp, your perception is amplified. I suppose it is because you have been so focused and intent on one thing and one thing alone, that is to keep moving. It is like waking up from a trance, or like becoming sober again, or like traveling through a subway, flickering lamps passing by like milestones in the race, and the blinding light at the end being the glory of the finish line. I was back home the next day and I had difficulty walking. Now it is not uncommon to have soreness in your body the morning after, but it remained same the following day, and the day after was no different. This was unusual. I had not recovered any bit in a couple of days. I assumed I was severely fatigued this time around. A nervous week elapsed. My left leg felt more or less normal and was recovered, along with the rest of the body. However, every time I tried to jog or jump, I was hit by a jolt of sharp pain somewhere between shin and ankle of my right leg. It only got worse as days went by. I had to address the elephant in the room finally. Something was wrong and I needed professional help. I found myself consulting an orthopedist after nearly 20 days of the race. He ran his fingers on my shin, pressing the site of inflammation and examining my reaction. One particular point triggered an excruciating pain. His diagnosis was out: tibial stress fracture. X-ray confirmed it. He advised me against running or doing any impact related activity and told me it could take bone 8 to 12 weeks to heal. He prescribed me painkillers, calcium and mineral pill, vitamin D granules, protein powder even. But the healing of the bone, it was to take place naturally. Injury took away 3 precious months of running this year. July and August were extremely frustrating. It was monsoon and the time when it was not raining, weather was really cool and pleasant even in the afternoon. I was furious and cursing my luck. It was like being shackled in a way. What was really rubbing it in was the fact that even by the end of August, there wasn't any noticeable improvement. I had grown despondent. Gloomy weather wasn't helping either. There was silver lining in the clouds in September. Rains had started to cease, which meant clear skies and sunshine. Throughout September, I made it a point to sunbathe early in the morning every day. Vitamin D, By the end of the month, I was able to hop. The pain and the inflammation had subsided. I don't know if it was sun's charm that did it or the shelf life of injury had come to pass. Either way, I was joyful to learn that I could jog now with only slight pain. I couldn't contain the excitement. It was like getting my wings back. Next thing I did was I followed a recovery protocol. I gave the whole month of October to rehabilitation. I introduced running back to my body. I eased into it, starting from running a few hundred meters in first week and gradually increasing distance and pace the following weeks. Eventually, I got back to where I had left, and everything was hunky-dory again.